So, where we last left off, we were just getting out of the Rockies and on our way to Edmonton. And if you haven't seen the previous video, I really recommend watching it because this is an ongoing series about a really wild trip that I had. And thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoy. So, the train was going along, and getting through Alberta was really a breeze. There wasn't really a whole lot to look at, I didn't feel, so for a lot of it, I just sat in my seat. For a little while, I tried moving to a different seat, so I was just sort of like the two seats side by side, and that was alright. It was another perspective. I got to see how comfortable it was, and then I moved back to the other seat that I had been in already for 15 hours, and I got really comfortable there again. And before long, we were getting to Edmonton. So I called my friend who said that he would host me for the night, and he went to go get to the train station because the train was surprisingly going to be on time for the first time probably ever. But as we approached the train station, the train stopped, and that was really frustrating. You know, you could see the city off in the distance. My friend said that he could see the train from the train station, so it was right there, like just like a stone's throw away. I could have probably walked there myself at this point. But anyways, the train stops. And the conductor comes on to try and explain, and he says, hey folks, sorry, looks like CN wants to move a couple of trains through, so it's just going to be a couple of minutes before we're able to move on into the station. Sorry for the delay. Alright, yeah, I get it. Sometimes there's little delays here and there, and sure. It's just going to be a little bit longer. My friend's waiting for me already, but that's okay. We can wait a little bit longer. But then an hour passes by, and we're still sitting in the same place. In fact, I think that we even moved back a little bit. But the conductor comes on to try and explain the situation. He says, hey folks, sorry, they wanted to move a couple more trains than we expected, and it's just going to be another 20 minutes to half an hour before we're pulling into the station. Sometimes there's just unexpected things that go on in life. Sometimes you end up needing to sit on the rail for, an hour and a half, whatever, sure. Not like I have anybody waiting for me, right? But we end up sitting there for another hour, and the conductor comes on, and this time I'm also getting a little bit upset, but the conductor comes on, and he's also getting to the end of his wits, and he comes on and he says, all right, so the freight company has decided to put more trains ahead of us. I don't know what the hell their problem is. And the fact that he was also just as peeved as I was a little bit comforting, I think. Made me laugh, at very least. So anyways, we eventually pull into the station, get my things, and I get off the train, and I was so relieved to finally get off this train and into Edmonton at last. And I get to meet up with my friend Jess. And Jess and I have been best friends since high school. After high school, he ended up moving to Edmonton, and he comes to visit fairly regularly, but he's been so busy recently that whenever he comes to town, usually we hardly even get a chance to connect. So this was a really pleasant reunion. And then we decided to go, and he goes to McDonald's drive-thru and offers to get something for me, and I get a sausage and egger. Nothing special, just a little thing to get me going. And he ordered something as well, with a large Coke. That's the only part of his order that I remember. And he's always been a bit of an odd fellow, but when they asked what he's paying with, and he says, I'll pay with my prepaid Visa gift card, I was a little bit off taken by this. I don't know, something about it, just the way he said it, the way he had to say the whole phrase, I don't know, I laughed, and he said that, hey, I'm saving money by doing this. I don't really know what he meant by that. I don't know if buying the prepaid Visa gift cards helps save money or if somebody bought him the card, but whatever, more power to him, right? And we drive off, and he always said that he lived in a shack on a farmland somewhere on the outskirts of town, and I never really believed him, but the more we drove, the more I started to believe him. And eventually we got there, and again, I thought it took me off guard, and I thought it was still really funny. And I don't know, we get in. I put my bag down by the couch where I was going to be sleeping that night. And I ask him if he's got any, brews around. Because, I need something to kind of unwind after getting off that long train ride. And he did. So we went onto his porch, and we had a couple of beers and, got to reconnect a little bit. And after a while, he takes a sip from his McDonald's cola, and he says, "Oh, man, this isn't nearly boozy enough." And he runs into the house, and he grabs this nice glass decanter full of what I can only assume was rum. Maybe it's even crystal. I don't know. And I laugh, and I say, "Why is the nicest thing in your entire house a decanter full of rum?" And he kind of scoffs at me, and he says, and I quote, "It's just for when I want to drink eloquently." and then he takes a giant pour of it and puts it into the paper McDonald's cup. Just, I don't think I've ever seen somebody drink quite so eloquently. Anyways, we had a great night. We hung out, and then I had a good night's sleep. And in the morning, he had to go to work, and he dropped me off at a bus exchange in St. Albert. And I was lost and intimidated. I never really took the bus while I was living there as a kid. I would have been, younger than 10 when I was there, so I didn't know my way around at all. So I don't know, the next bus that came, I asked the bus driver, I said, "Hey, I need to get to the West Edmonton Mall." Because the old neighborhood that I really wanted to visit was near the West Edmonton Mall, and I knew I had some friends that still were there, and I wanted to go and visit them. So he says, yeah, I can get you to the mall. It's just that it costs $8 to get into Edmonton. I was a little bit shocked. I've never paid that much for a bus before, but I guess it's two different cities. Whatever. Fine. And then we go, and it was around this time that I decided to take my one official selfie for the day, and I did that. It was a little bit weak compared to the other selfie, and it was really weak compared to a lot of the selfies, but that's okay. Anyways, we get going, and we get closer to the mall, and eventually we get to the mall. I don't think I actually got any good pictures of the outside of the mall from this trip. The bus windows were pretty dirty from what I remember. But then I get off and I get into the mall, and just that rush of nostalgia, because I used to go there a lot when I was just a little guy, and walking around, and just that feeling of nostalgia was just unbelievable. And I walked around a lot, and I just, chatted with some of the people at some of the kiosks, even though I had no money to buy anything anyways. And I went and I visited some of the shops that I remember from when I was a kid, and walked around, and just I really like the West Edmonton Mall. I enjoy it a lot, in fact. But yeah, I tried taking some pictures of everything, and it was just really enjoyable for me. There were some things that are a lot different from when I was just a little guy, but whatever. It was still very nostalgic for me. I ended up going to the TNT Market and getting some Chinese food. They have a nice big bulk sort of Chinese food section, and I bought a bunch of bulk Chinese food because I was incredibly hungry at that point because I hadn't eaten that day at all. And I got in contact with my best friend from my childhood, and he's going to meet me at a park near our old neighborhood, which was going to be super cool. And he doesn't live in the same place anymore, but he lives close, which was really handy. So I walked off in the direction that I figured would take me to the old neighborhood, and yeah, my memory served me well. I remember walking out past the World Water Park and going along that way and finding a path to get to going towards the old neighborhood. And along that path, I saw something that I will never forget, something that has left an impression on me. I saw the fattest crow ever. I don't know what it was about this crow, just something about him. He was so large looking. Like he was like a bowling ball of crow. Oh my god. Anyways, I continued walking, and there's a little forested area that I remember I used to have to walk through to get to school for a while, and I was walking through there, and I was texting back and forth with my friend, and eventually I hear somebody running behind me, and I turn around, and there he is, the man himself, and he's laughs at me, and he says, "You know how far I had to run to find you? Like 5 feet. That's way too much." And yeah, it felt just about right getting back together with him. And we hung out, and we made our way back to the place that he's living now. It's near the old neighborhood, but it's not actually in it. And yeah, I got to see his mom again, and it was all just a nice, pleasant reunion. And then yeah, we hung out and talked and did our thing, and I think that's where I'm gonna cut this story. I'm gonna talk about the rest of it. I don't know. We're in a bit of a slow part of the journey. We're just heating up. So I hope that you'll stick around and watch the next episode as well, because it picks up. It picks up. And if you made it this far, I really appreciate it, and I hope that you'll tune in next time. And thanks.